Hello everybody. I'm getting used to using this tool, so I've got something on my left screen and something on my right screen. That's why I keep looking over there. And look, I'm not the world's best cameraman, camera person, not the best video editor. For years I've been buying Camtasia and not using it because I'm not an expert. I don't have the time to learn it. But they've got another product called Snagit, and I'm using TechSmith Snagit, and that's good enough for me. I can take pictures, I can do small edits, I can put captions in, which I don't really. But we just have to take the rough with the smooth, and it doesn't matter that it's not perfect. As my great Kabbalah teacher, Rabbi Mervis, said to me, things are perfect when they start, not necessarily when they end. So we want to start things. We want to keep starting things. We want to keep making bad things better. And I spoke about bad becoming better in a previous post. This non-shaved look is, I'm on a 4-day fast. Currently on the 3rd day. I decided not to shave while I'm fasting. And I'm really enjoying myself. It's not a no food fast, it's a water fast. And the first time I did a fast last year for 4 days, I drank water and I drank 1 cup of coffee, but I didn't eat anything, and on the 5th day I had a lot of cramps. And so this time I've decided that I'm eating very small amounts of fruit, such as blueberries, which are in season at the moment, and nachis, South African mandarins, which are in season at the moment. And I've had like half a bowl of blueberries, and I've had 3 mandarins, and I've had a grapefruit. That's all. And I've also been taking supplements, magnesium. And if you look up Metabole, Metabole, I don't work for them, but I'm happy to speak about them. I'll put a note to their website in the links below, in the edit below, and you can see more about them. So this week is called Toldot, which means generations. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. So let's switch to Torah and let's continue. So this is Parashat, Genesis chapter 25. Actually, the Parashat starts with chapter 25 verse 19, because Parashas are sections of Torah that are split up so that we can read different portions, and we can actually read the Torah the whole year. So in Orthodox they read the whole Torah because they have 3 Torah services a week, Monday, Thursday, Saturday. And Reform Progressive, what happens is that we read the Torah every 3 years typically. Some congregations read it 1 in a year, but we read a third. So this year we read the 1st third, next year the 2nd third, and then the year after that the 3rd third. So every 3 years we have a 3-year cycle. And we don't necessarily do that to make it easier. Actually, there's so much going on, and I'm only going to pick 1 sentence, in fact 3 words of this portion, this parasha, to talk about today. I'm thanking Chabad for their website and for making the Torah available for everybody online. So shout out to them. And you can see Toldot, so this word here, Toldot. If I take this word, I can copy and paste it into Google Translate, for example, and it says you will give birth. So generations, you will give birth. If I go to the other side over here, I can say generations, and you'll see Dorot. So Dorot, Toldot, similar words, but Torah, a lot of words are not necessarily Hebrew, they're Aramaic, which is a mixture of Hebrew and Arabic. And so, sometimes we don't have direct translations, such as Toldot. Let's go to verse 23, which has caused so much, let's say, trouble. God says to Sarah, who is barren, and she's 90 years old, 89 or 90, and she can't have children. And he says, she prays, please, I'd like to have children, because you promised. We can't be a great nation if we don't have children. 2 nations in your womb, and 2 kingdoms will separate from your innards. 1 kingdom shall become mightier than the other kingdom, and the elder shall serve the younger. And I just want to focus on this. The elder shall serve the younger. Now, Esau was born first, and then Yitzchak. And we all know from the Torah, from the translation, from the Old Testament translations, that the older is normally the firstborn. In this case he was. And the firstborn inherits the kingdom. But in this case, the secondborn inherits the kingdom. This is the normal story. But I want to tell a different story based on what I've learnt in Kabbalah. Now, the issue is that there's no time in Torah. The Torah is written in such a way that we can understand their stories. The Old Testament is written in analogy. So there's analogy to something else. So we can read and we can understand and we can look for. And the New Testament is written in parable, so that we can understand 2,000 years later what Jesus was talking about, what he meant. But if we go and look, the older shall serve the younger. What's going on here? So I've got this over here, the Hebrew over here, and it says, and many shall serve young men. But Rav is similar to Rabbi. In fact, Rav, people often call me Rav or Reb, because I'm not a qualified rabbi, but I teach rabbi. I teach Judaism. Now, the interesting thing about being kosher is, for people to be kosher, they don't need to have 3 rabbis. They need to have 3 people who are representing the board of kashrut. But they don't have to be rabbis. They can be 3 learned people who make decisions. And you can find that, for example, maybe there used to be a board in Paarl and another board in Worcester. There were many boards, and they made decisions, local decisions. And so you can find that in one part of the world, rice is eaten on Passover, and in another part of the world it's not eaten. And maybe in one part of the world rice was a staple food, and that's all they had. And in another part of the world they had a choice, and they could make a different kind of ruling. And that's why Sephardim and Ashkenazis eat differently on Passover, Pesach. And that's fine. When I was born in 1964, there were 2 kashrut boards in South Africa, one in Cape Town and one in Johannesburg. And today there's only one, and I think that limits us. Because maybe there's different food in Cape Town compared to Joburg. And maybe we should have different kinds of kashrut, that is, for us. And also we can then have our own law, our own court. So, close something here because my fan is on. My fan goes on when I run Chrome and I'm making videos. So, now, the older shall serve the younger, which is translated differently. You can see the words are different here compared to here, because Torah is different. What is the meaning? What is the Kabbalistic meaning of the elder shall serve the younger? Well, if you think about Abraham and Sarah leaving their kingdom to Isaac and his wife, or wives, and then to Jacob, and then to Jacob's 12 children, well, 12 of his children, who became the 12 tribes of Israel later on. And Jacob is renamed Israel, which we're going to get to. So now, my belief and the Kabbalistic, my interpretation of what I've read in Kabbalah is that Abraham serves Isaac. Abraham the father serves Isaac the child. And Isaac the child serves Jacob, the child of Isaac. And Isaac serves his father, Jacob serves his father Isaac, and Isaac serves his father Abraham, and Jacob therefore serves his father, his grandfather Abraham, and Abraham serves God. So we all serve God. Now, Abraham creates his kingdom, and he leaves his kingdom to his child. And his child expands the kingdom and leaves the kingdom to his child. And his child expands the kingdom and leaves his kingdom to his child. And so generational wealth is created. This is something that's missing today. We're told that nepotism is bad, but that's because, in my opinion, it serves certain people. It serves the families who run the planet. The royal family in England for 1,000 years. Christian Catholic Church, we're a kind of family. Orthodox actually have children, and in many cases there are many multi-generations of children who became priests in the families and married and had more children, and one or more of the children became priests. And so there's generational wealth, and the wealth stays in the family, and the family is the organization. And what we're seeing at the moment with mass resignation, the resignation crisis in the world, is that mass organizational wealth is leaving businesses. And in fact, the news today in South Africa is that there's a huge brain drain out of Eskom at the moment. Eskom is South Africa's electricity utility. Should be competition. According to the 2008 and 2003 government strategies, white papers, they said that competition would be allowed by 2010. And we're now in 2021, and there isn't proper competition. So the point about Eskom and Koeberg, the nuclear power station 30 kilometers from Cape Town, is that there's a massive brain drain. And they say at the top of the article it's because of better opportunities overseas. And then deeper in the article they say it's also because people don't want a COVID vaccination. So the point about this story here is that the elder shall serve the younger. The father shall serve the son. The mother shall serve the daughter. The parents shall serve their children. The father shall serve his daughter. The mother shall serve her son. And it's not a matter of bringing them stuff. Children need to learn responsibilities. It's not a matter of parents bowing down to children. It's a matter of parents leaving generational wealth to their children. If you want me to talk about generational wealth and what I've seen and what happens when generational wealth is not passed down, then we can talk about that. We see the rich on the planet, such as the Gates family and others, saying we're not going to leave our money to our children. But my feeling is that the children should be trained to run the business, or to run part of the business, or to be trustees on a trust which owns the business, such as the Carlsberg family. So there's so much going on in Torah. Kabbalah says there's 70 translations of a word, 70 translations of a phrase, 70 translations of a sentence, 70 translations of a verse, 70 translations of a chapter, 70 translations of Torah. And multiply all those together and you've got trillions of combinations. Trillions of interpretations. This is my interpretation from my learning. It might not be the same as your learning, and that's fine. Reading Torah, studying it like this, listening to people, is a great introduction. It's a great way of learning. It's a great way of studying. And if you've got the time and you've got the energy, you've got the intention, then you can make yourself capable. Saying, have you got the capability to do this, is not the right question. Everybody has capabilities if they put enough time and energy into something. Of course, I'm not going to be Novak Djokovic. I'm never going to win tennis's championships. But that wasn't what I set out to do in life. I set out to be an environmentalist. We're going to talk about that too, because we're going to read about the environment and how we need to protect the environment. So here we have 3 words. The elder shall serve the younger. Generational wealth being started. And there's another piece of the puzzle, which is in chapter 26, verse 18. Let's go there quickly. I need to go back to the top. I need to select chapter 26. Let's wait for it to refresh. I need to go to verse 18. Chai. It says, and Isaac dug again the wells of water, which they had been dug in the days of his father Abraham. Now what happened was there was fighting about wells and fighting about land. And so the Philistines and the others had covered up the wells of Abraham. But how did Isaac know where to dig the wells of Abraham? He knew because Abraham had given him a map and said, here is where I dug this well, and here is where I dug that well. And a well is a word of water, and water is Mayim Chayim, the water of life, the water of oxygen. It's where all the oxygen in our planet comes from, water. It's so important that we look after water. I'm sure you've seen the crystals that show you when, if you say to water, you're horrible water or you're good water, you can see the crystal shapes change. A well is a place where water is. It's a hole in the ground where there's water, as opposed to a pit, which is a hole in the ground where there's no water. The pit is dry, arid, not a nice place. Unless, of course, you're digging it for storage, then it could be a fantastic place, because water and other things don't always mix, and water often melts things. Even salt water will melt a ship that sinks over hundreds of years. Salt water eats everything in time. So Isaac again dug the wells of water, which had been dug in the days of his father Abraham. And Abraham passed the generational knowledge down to Isaac. And you can see in the next sentence, and Isaac's servants dug in the valley, and they found their well of living waters. Here we have Mayim Chayim. We take this Mayim Chayim, we put it into Google Translate. Thanks Google for this amazing tool. Living water, Mayim Chayim. And water is plural. We don't have one water and two waters. Chayim. And here we have what we spoke about last week. Chaya, my life. And here we have Mayim. Mayim is a palindrome. And this mem here, the yud is in the middle, and this is called mem sofit. In Hebrew there's some letters that have a different way of writing when they're the final letter compared to the first letter. So Mayim is Mayim, forwards and backwards. And Mayim comes from Mayim is Shamayim. And Shamayim, if we go and get this word, let's go over here. Let's put this here. Let's go to the other place where we can go and type in another letter and get a shin, which is here. I'm slowly learning this. And it says sky, but Shamayim is also heaven. The heavenly waters. When you read Genesis, and if you look at my video of Genesis, you'll see I speak about Shamayim, the heavenly waters. So we go back to the Chabad website, and we go back to the Torah, and we go back and we say, wow, there's so much going on here. Just a few words of Torah, and we're getting so much knowledge, we're getting so much information, we're getting so much understanding, we're getting so much love. We're feeling welcome, we're feeling happy. And so I bless you, I love you. If you need help, you need prayers, you need understanding, you want to speak about things, you want to set up a Zoom meeting, I'll put my Calendly link in the text box as well, and you can book a meeting with me. We can talk. Thank you. See you next time.